and welcome to the 19th episode of the Yarn Junkie podcast, formerly the Crochet Junkie podcast. Welcome and thanks for joining me this week as I talk about my love of fiber and all the crafts I've been working on. This is a fibery podcast. I am a knitter, a spinner, and a crocheter, and I do have all three of those projects to show you this week, so that's pretty exciting. I've had a few new subscribers and a couple of podcasters that have mentioned my podcast on theirs, and I'd like to take this moment to give a shout out to them and say thank you. A Spicy Homemaker is a new to me podcast, and she and I have exchanged a few messages on Instagram and Ravelry, and I've just really enjoyed the connection we've made. So hi Melissa. And also Cat's Kettle, Katrina on the Cat's Kettle podcast just recently said hello. So hello to you, Katrina. I hope that you had a lovely birthday. And we'll get started. I have some old finished objects to show you, or past finished objects that I thought you might be interested in seeing. And a couple of new finished things that you haven't seen. So we'll get started. I'm going to start with this one. I crocheted this little elephant for Prudence for her 2nd birthday. And it is just, this came from a book, the pattern did, and I just recently donated it, of course, because now I'm showing it and I don't have the book to show you. I've never really appreciated the construction of this elephant. I just think it leaves something to be desired. But she loved him. Her little 2-year-old self really loved him. She carried this little elephant everywhere for a couple of months after I made him, and then she left him behind at her grandparents' house. And she was pretty sad. I was devastated because I didn't know it was at the grandparents' house at the time. And then months went by, and my mother-in-law called me and said, "Oh yeah, by the way, that little pink elephant that you made Prudence is over at my house." So we got it back, and then Prudence never really played with it after that. But I've since crocheted her another elephant that I like a lot better than this one. But I just made this out of some Lily's Sugar and Cream cotton yarn, and her little skirt kind of folds up. Very durable, very silly. Another thing that I made her on a birthday past is this fox sweater. So back when the YouTube sensation "What Does the Fox Say" was ever so popular, Prudence loved that song and really liked foxes. And that Halloween she was a fox. She dressed up as a fox the Halloween that song was so popular. In the following birthday I made her this little fox cardigan. So on the actual sweater I did follow a pattern. It was a paid pattern. I can't remember it now, but I'm sure I could link it if you wanted me to. It's just a very basic crochet sweater pattern. The yarn that I used on the front was such a nightmare to work with, but I love the effects. It is the Sensations yarn from Joann's, and I think it's called Angel Hair or something. And on the actual hood, I did not follow a pattern. I wanted it to come over her face just a bit so it would look like a fox head, and I wanted it very much to have the pointed nose. And on the buttons, I used these really cool leaves on the jacket part. And I made little pockets, and then these for the eyes, which matched the green leaves quite well. And so she wore this quite a bit the first year, and it actually still fits her. So here's Bo joining us. Sit down. Sit. No, he's going to get in my lap. He's trying to give me a high five. So she actually still can wear this sweater and fit into it. And it keeps her quite warm in the fall. Another finished object that I have to show you that I did not have last time on hand are my Halloween socks. So I mentioned last time that Atrella wore these to school. Lay down. Lay down. And I have always done the heel flap and gusset on all of my socks because that's what I started doing, and why change something when you know how to do it? And I say that I've never cared about the socks matching until I made this pair, and the heel flap and gusset caused this one to have that weird green stripe in between the purple. So not really liking that. This one turned out really well, continued the striping. It doesn't look weird. And then on this one, it's just like this strange green stripe. Which, I mean, they're socks. Who cares? No one sees that part. Only I know it's there. I'm not OCD enough to let it keep me from wearing them. But I was hoping for a little bit more uniform socks, because I really do like the stripes. And this was Brazen Stitchery in colorway Witchy Woman, which is a local to me dyer. And I picked this yarn up when I went to Stitches, Texas. And it is purple and really bright green and black. So that green is super neon. And even walking down our hall, they look like they glow because it's so bright. It's not showing up very well on my camera, of course. Crappy webcam, but there they are. Really happy with these. And I did say that they didn't fit me when I first finished them, which bummed me out, and I gave them to Atrella. But after washing them, they fit me fine. They stretched out a bit, and they do fit. Something that I will have to change on my own sock recipe is doing more of a deeper heel, because I do have quite high arches. But other than that, these are great. They are a little baggy in the foot because my arch is so high, and I don't know, it just kind of pulls weird. But on my next pair, I will definitely make up for that and do more arches or more heel stitches. So this is apparently where Bo is going to sit the entire podcast. I'm going to have to work around him. Yeah. Bo, why in the middle? Why in the middle, Bo? Let's move my show notes. No high fives. No high fives. I do have some other finished projects to show you that y'all actually didn't even get to see these as whips. Lay down, or I'm going to make you get out. So I have these just tucked in this bag because I took them to knit night to show off. Okay, go. Out. And this is my first crochet project in a long time. So I made Prudence a mermaid. And I actually have the Spicy Homemaker to thank for the inspiration behind this, because originally I wanted to make Prudence a mermaid. She's been asking for one. She's wanted one for a while. And I said sure, but you know, it's on the mini list of all the things I want to make, and this was never that big of a priority. And then the Spicy Homemaker showed me the monkey that she just recently finished for her son, and I said, you know what, I'm going to love the effects of giving this as a gift to Prudence for her birthday. Let me just sit down and make it. And wouldn't you know, she took me like a day to make. One morning I spent the time making her arms and then her body. Another afternoon my husband and I had some errands to run, so I crocheted her tail. And then when I got home that night, I did her hair. The next day, it took me 5 minutes to do her lips and little top. And I just used some embroidery floss for her lips. Her body is made with Lion Brand, I think, acrylic, just some acrylic yarn. And then her little crochet top is also some scrap acrylic that I had. And then her hair is actually hand spun. It's the Falkland fiber that I spun up. And then her tail is also hand spun. And that is the Kamaj fibers that I spun. And I got both of these fibers from the spinning box, which I reviewed on, I believe, my third podcast episode, maybe. One of the original, or one of the very beginning podcasts. I got the spinning box, showed all my stuff that I got in it, and have spun little by little by little. And the Falkland, I didn't really enjoy spinning that much. I found it was really, really hard to draft. It just wasn't my favorite. I love it as mermaid hair though. I mean, how perfect is that? And of course, I'm a new spinner, so this is overspun, underplied, overplied. It's hit or miss on how the quality of yarn is not very good, but for a doll it's perfect. And on the tail, this was also hard to spin because it was a mixed fiber and it had a bamboo in it, and the bamboo was just ripping out of my hand. And something that I did was some troubleshooting on my wheel, and you'll have to forgive me for not knowing the terminology, but this part here, I have 3 different settings where I can have this on the very top, the middle, or the bottom. And as soon as I put it down, it was a lot easier to spin the bamboo. And I have a little bit more of this fiber to ply, or that I spun and that I'm going to ply, that turned out better than this. So this is some of that same fiber that I spun, and you can see that it's definitely underspun and overplied. But I'm learning, and it is a very enjoyable process to troubleshoot, and it's very meditative to spin. And I'm sticking with it. And something that has really inspired me to pick up my spinning again is the Tiny Paper Foxes podcast. Jenny has been doing a sew for 20 each day, and she uploads a picture to Instagram. And I've done tons of reading about how, it only takes 10 to 20 minutes each day to develop a skill on something. And I do. I want to practice. I want to produce yarn that I'm excited to work with, that I'm not like, oh, okay, well, what can I use this for? And again, this turned out really well. I think it's very fitting for doll hair and a doll little body, but this fiber was just not my favorite, and it's definitely, even crocheting with it, it was very thin in some spots, thick in others. Just not my favorite. I want to make yarn that I'm excited to work with. So that's my goal, and I'm going to try to maybe do this spin for 24 days a week and just really build my spinning skills. I do have some fleeces upstairs that I've been dying to get through. I mentioned that when I started spinning, I went and bought a bunch of fleeces because I want to take something from fleece to finished object. And then working with a fiber, my husband's really allergic, and I couldn't work outside because of the heat. It was incredibly hot in Texas all summer long, and now that the weather's cooling down, I think that I'm probably going to pull my fleeces out, give them a wash, start spinning. Carlene from the Carlenergy podcast is actually doing a local love knit along, and I have some llama fiber. Back when I got my spinning wheel, I searched around local antique shops, looking for one secondhand, and I never found one. But I did find a lady at a shop that knew of someone wanting to get rid of some animal fiber. And she said, well, I know this lady that has a herd of llamas, and I know that she just sheared them, and she's looking to get rid of her fiber, so you might want to call her. I gave her a call, and the girls and I got to go out to her house and meet the llamas and pet them, and I got 3 huge trash bags. And when I say huge, these are like 50-gallon trash bags. I mean, they're massive. And for $20, 3 bags full. 3 bags full. Not wool, it's llama fiber, but still. For $20, I thought that was incredible. And so I'm going to try to spin that for the local love knit along. And I even thought, a lot of it's white fiber, and I thought it might be fun to take some of the prickly pears around here. And when I was making the prickly pear jelly a couple months ago, I showed y'all that when I made it. It's a beautiful color. When you're boiling down the pears to make the jelly, it's this purple pink color, and it's incredible. And it's very, very, very saturated. So I thought I could spin up some llama and maybe dye it, and that would be really cool and local because I'm taking prickly pears from my yard and llama fiber from just down the road, and that's going to be my projects for the next couple of weeks maybe. So another present that I made, Prudence, in my Use So and So project bag, which I just thought this bag was perfect for this month. Little Indian owls with teepees. And what's really cool, it's got this dream catcher fabric on the inside and these dream catchers on the outside. And I make stitch markers from charms that I get at Michael's, at Joann's. And I actually found this charm. Isn't that perfect for a zipper pull? This bag came with a sheep zipper pull, and then I changed it to that one when I found it. And then this little button came from the Perot Museum, had the Mythbusters exhibit, and we went and saw that, and I got this little pin, so I just thought that was fun to put on that. And this is my other finished object. And I think I showed y'all the start of these 2 weeks ago on my last podcast. And these are opal yarn in colorway Party. And I knit these for Prudence for her birthday. She's having her birthday party at the bowling alley, so I thought she absolutely needs party socks. And I did the waffle stitch pattern. Everyone's obsessed with the waffle stitch pattern, so I jumped on that bandwagon. And I'm calling these my short waffles because in my excitement to start the project, I didn't read the pattern thoroughly, and my purl, I'm not giving away any secrets because this is a free pattern, but it says to knit for 2 rows and then knit 2, purl 2 for 2 rows. I only did knit 2, purl 2 for 1 row. So these are my short waffles for my little Prudence. And I'm going to wrap these and give her these before we go to the party. And then the mermaid, will be wrapped as a gift at the party. I also thought, all of you knitters probably love this too, but my yarn matched my project bag. Which, that's what life's all about right there, is having your yarn match your project bag perfectly. And I actually have, because these are 5-year-old socks, I had quite a bit left. And I'm thinking maybe of making a pair of Rose City rollers for Etrella, because she liked this colorway quite a lot too. And something else I wanted to show you, since we're on the topic of matchy, I got this really cool Notions box in a swap, and it matches too. So, yeah, it's fun. It's fun to be matchy-matchy. So I've been pretty busy knitting those socks and crocheting the mermaid. And I've also worked just a bit on my hat, my honeycomb or Tweety honeycomb toque. So last time I showed you this, I was about here, but it was a small hat. I mentioned that it fit Prudence. So I ripped it completely out, recast on. This is a free pattern, so again, I'm not giving away anything. And there's not a picture or I would show you, it's just the actual pattern. But I'll show you the name so you can look it up if you'd like. Tweety honeycomb toque. And the pattern says to cast on 80 stitches. And again, I did that, it fit Prudence. I did size down my needles because again, I knit super loose. But I wanted a longer brim. I wanted to be able to fold over my brim. So where it says to knit 1.5 inches, I knit 3 inches of brim. And then I'm to the decreases now. And I only have this much yarn left. And I'm thinking this is a bit of yarn chicken here. Definitely don't have enough for a pom like I wanted. I might not even have enough to finish the hat, honestly. I'm hopeful and now it's just sort of like all unraveling here. We'll set it to the side and mess with that later. So I've also worked just a bit because most of my knitting project time has been focused on presents. I've worked just a little bit on my heart gloves. So I showed you this one last time, and I'm not very much further along on this one. And I'm making these gloves and this hat in the Make Two Along, and that's also with the Tiny Paper Foxes podcast. Jenny is doing a make-along. So basically you can do any sort of crafty project. You can sew, you can knit, you can crochet. The idea is just to make two that you would wear together. So she, I believe, is doing a shawl, a sweater, and sewing a dress. And I'm making the gloves and the hat. And maybe a sweater, but that's a bit hopeful. It is a fairly long knit along. I think it's going on through January. So you do have plenty of time, and she does ask that you finish your two items in the time allotted, because it is quite a long knit along. And yeah, I hope to be done with these this weekend. I'm really hoping. The other projects that I have to work on aren't something that I can work on in front of a Trello. So this will probably be my go-to project for this weekend. And I'll probably get them done and get the hat finished up too. Because I've mentioned it is getting colder. And I really, in the mornings, I need a hat. I need gloves when I take the dogs out and put the girls on the bus. It is a bit chilly. And I have all of that in my mommy sew bag that I showed you guys last time. That has the little Red Riding Hood fabric. And this is my brooch from the Homespun House. Molly of a Homespun House makes these little sheepy brooches. I love this bag. I love the fabric. It just makes me so happy. So something else I've been working on, I just sort of started it, and I really need to rip this out and recast on. So I have a friend that, gosh, we've been friends for years and years and years. And you know, you have the memories feed on Facebook. Well, the other day I was looking through that, and she had posted to me back in 2009, maybe? Maybe it was 2011. Anyway, years ago, okay? Years ago, she said, I cannot wait to have a baby, so he or she can wear one of your creations. And she's actually about to have a baby any day now. I think she is due next week maybe, so I really got to get this done. She's having a little boy, and I bumped that post and asked her, I was like, your baby's almost here. What color hat would you like? Or what color whatever. And I am making her a hat, and she said, I don't know, maybe charcoal and orange. Well, that's what chard is. Chard is charcoal and orange. You see, chard is my favorite right now. And the gray is a little bit washed out. I have a picture of this on my project page, as well as Instagram. And you can see the darker gray a bit better. It's kind of washed out in my room because of all the natural light. But I love this. It's just a basic baby hat. I think it's a free pattern on Ravelry. I have DK weight, so I searched, baby hat, DK weight. And it was just a basic baby hat. It said to cast on 70 stitches, which I felt was a lot. That would have fit my newborn's head. And I have huge kids. My Trello was 11-13 at birth, 11 pounds, 13 ounces, 22 inches in length. So I had a 3-month-old at birth. And then Prudence, she was 10 pounds, 14 ounces, 20 inches. But so I'm not thinking this is kind of huge for a newborn. And my fabric, of course, is too gappy. I cast on with the recommended needle, which was a size 6. I don't know why I just won't accept the fact that I'm a loose knitter and I will never be able to knit with what the pattern says. I'm always going to have to size down my needles. Because yeah, this fabric is just loose, and you know, I want a denser hat because it is a little baby and it is fall, winter. He needs a comfy, warm hat, not something gappy. And I'll show you like what I mean. Like, it just seems gappy to me. That's not really showing up. But yeah, it's just not my favorite. I think that it will be a little bit better on size 4s maybe. So we'll see. Fun little knit, and again, it won't take me any time at all as soon as I get my gauge down. And she too is fairly obsessed with Lord of the Rings, like I. So of course I needed to put my little Hobbit house stitch marker. And that is from the Vintage Rose. I think her website is vintageroseloves.com. Her stitch markers are incredible and very, very well made. And I actually just had a friend of the podcast message me, "Hi Missy," asking me about the stitch markers. So there you go. If any of you others were wondering out there, vintageroseloves.com. And I got my stitch markers at Stitches, Texas, so I actually got to meet, I think her name's Vanessa. I want to say her name's Vanessa, but that might not be right, so don't quote me on that. But she was a very, very sweet person, and I am in love with her stitch markers. So I have that in my project bag from a swap that I did. If Linda's watching, Linda, I love this bag. I really love the ribbon. So I'm going to be honest, and drawstring bags are not my favorite. I do prefer zipper bags, and I haven't really bought any drawstring bags. I've only bought zipper bags. But having this one kind of makes me want to buy all the drawstring bags. I love the ribbon, and I really love the fabric that she chose. I feel like she couldn't have given me a better gift. Very beautiful fabric, and it sings my heart song. And it's just perfect for, you know, a little pair of socks or a basic baby hat. It's very lightweight, and I can put it on my wrist and still be able to knit with it open just a little. So thank you, Linda. Really love that bag. What else? So I've been doing some secret knitting, and what I've done is put everything in this large bag. So this bag is from Molly of a Homespun House. I talked about it on my last podcast. Really love this bag, and it fits a lot of stuff. So I have a full pattern book in here. That's how big it is. And I'm going to make a trail of this. I've talked about this, I think, on my past podcast. I have not started it. After crocheting that mermaid, I'm like realizing how fast I could get this done if I just started it. But I haven't started it. I will make this for her birthday. I am making this for her birthday. Now, that said, I'm having a lot of fun working on her socks, and I'm keeping those in her project bag. So I got this for Trella for her birthday, along with a sewing machine. So it is a Harry Potter project bag. And what's really cool is the inside fabric, and the handle is the jelly beans. And I found a frog charm so I can make her a progress keeper. And I just thought that was really perfect because the chocolate frogs. So in this, I am working on her Harry Potter socks. And this is Post Yarn in colorway Bravery. And they have a couple of different of the Harry Potter inspired colorways. And this is Corriedale, 75% I want to say. 75% superwash Corriedale and 20% nylon. I thought this tag was really cool because it looks like Hogwarts. and the Whomping Willow. Greetings from Post Yarn. And I have to say, not the biggest fan of this yarn. It's kind of splitty, kind of scratchy. A friend of mine said that Corriedale has a higher micron count than Merino, so that maybe it will wash up well. But yeah, it's not my favorite. And I am using the Hermione's Everyday pattern. So again, that is a free pattern on Ravelry. I started these last night at midnight. And I did the 2x2 ribbing and started knitting vanilla socks. And then I stopped. I was like, oh! And everyone's like, what? I said, I forgot I wanted to do the Hermione pattern. They thought I was crazy for getting all, oh, I gotta rip out these and restart them. So I didn't rip them out last night. I continued the 2x2 ribbing and then started the Hermione's pattern, but I really didn't like the way that looked. So last night when I got home, I did rip it out, tried to start it again, and was having a heck of a time not doing 2x2 ribbing. I don't know, I guess it's because of the hat I'm working on. I don't know, I just wanted to do 2x2, so I started 2x2 again, did 3 rows, realized what I was doing, ripped it out, set it down, started knitting something else, and then restarted these this morning. So this is what I've done so far this morning. And I did decide to do the 1x1 ribbing, because that's what the pattern asks for, and I just think it looks better. And I think I said it's a free pattern. Everyone and their mother has knit Hermione's Everyday Socks. And it's super easy. You just throw in a purl stitch every other row, every 3 stitches, and it has this really cool texture. So, really excited about these. And this is my secret knitting. So basically, if Atrella's home, I can't work on these because she will see this and immediately know that they are Harry Potter socks. There's no mistaking that. So, and not next week, I hope I can get these done completely next week. The next week, she has no school for Thanksgiving. So I think I'm going to be hiding out in my room a little bit so I can do the crochet dragon neck warmer. So she doesn't see that. I'm going to be hiding from her instead of hanging out with her. Because her birthday is the week after Thanksgiving. And all my girls are November born. I am November born. My husband pretty much goes broke in November because we have 3 birthdays followed closely by Christmas. And Prudence is actually, I think I talked about this, having a bowling birthday party. It is tomorrow. Her actual birthday is on Tuesday, and her party is tomorrow. And our family is coming. My mom and her husband are going to drive in tonight and stay the night. And Tim's parents are going to come tomorrow and stay. And I'm excited that everybody can come to her party. And a couple of the little pre-Kers have RSVP'd. Only 2, but 2 is better than no kids. And I'm hopeful that more people will show up. Maybe they're just not the type to RSVP, which is fine. I mean, I have plenty of cake and plenty of food planned. Drinking coffee this morning out of my Rainforest Cafe mug. And you see that chip? All my mugs have chips because I'm a rough person. And I smack into things. Clumsy. I'm a clumsy person. I'm rough with my items because I'm so clumsy and things break. So that is all of my projects, I think. Yep, that's all of them. I have some things that I want to work on. Give me just a second. I'm looking down at my show notes. Oh, let me talk about this. So Atrella is having a birthday party. She is pretty introverted, I want to say, a lot like her dad. She has never really been interested in going to other kids' birthday parties. She's the type of child that's going to hide birthday party invitations so she doesn't have to go. She's had one birthday party when she started kindergarten, and I feel like I kind of pushed that because she was going to have friends come, and then not very many kids came. We live 20 miles from the town they go to school, so I imagine nobody wanted to drive out here. And it was close to Thanksgiving, so that's part of the problem with having November birthdays. You have to contend with Thanksgiving, and not everybody always wants to do access travel or birthday parties that close to a holiday. So that's kind of a bummer. She's only had one birthday party. That was my point. All the other years, we like do a nice dinner. One year we went to the Medieval Times. I don't know if they have those restaurants everywhere. I know they have a couple in major cities. So Medieval Times is like a jousting dinner tournament. So you get to watch people on horses like in medieval times, and you get to eat this course meal with your hands, and it's a lot of fun. We took her to that one year, and we did like a carriage ride around the city and dressed her like a princess. It was a whole big thing. So we always make a big deal out of their birthdays, but it hasn't really ever been a party until this year. Prudence was adamant that she wanted to have a party. She's quite a bit more social than her sister, and as soon as she started school, she made friends very easily, and she wanted to have a birthday party. And again, she chose to have it at the bowling alley, and I think that made Estrella want to have a party, because she decided, yeah, this year I want to have a party. And her theme, what else? Harry Potter. So we were doing her party at home. That's where she wanted to have it, and we are going to decorate the entire house. We have so many beautiful plans. Pinterest, thank the stars for Pinterest, because without it, I probably wouldn't be half as creative as I am. So we got on Pinterest immediately after she decided the theme, and we were shopping and looking at different stuff to make. We went to Michael's, got a bunch of craft stuff, and this is her work in progress. So Estrella is making a lot of the decorations, and she made this. And again, it's a work in progress, so we need to... I dyed some paper with some tea, some chai tea. Estrella thinks it smells really good. So I dyed some paper. We'll be gluing in little strips so it looks like pages. But of course, you know what this is. It's the magical Care of Magical Creatures book. It's Hagrid's course book. And I think she did great. A great job. And we're going to do floating candles. We're going to do a game, Pin the Sock on Dobby. And I'm sure I'll talk about that more as it draws closer. So I also, the girls had a book fair, and I got this book last year. Prudence and I went to the museum. Estrella was in summer camp at the time, and she and I went to the museum while Estrella was at camp, and we did some crafts and got to listen to a story be read. And the story that was read was Extra Yarn. And the book is basically about this little girl who has this never-ending box of yarn. And she just knits and knits and knits and knits from this box of yarn. And the illustrations are just... So everybody is wearing sweaters, little knit stitch sweaters. So I had to get this. This is one of Prudence's birthday presents, along with a pair of pajamas. She wanted pajamas to match her baby, so I got her a bedtime story and pajamas. And the girls had a book fair, so I got that book on Amazon. I think it was $10 for a hardback, which I think is pretty good for a nice children's story. They also had a book fair. We went and got some books like you do. This one, Lester's Dreadful Sweaters. So this little boy, Lester, this poor little boy is stuck suffering wearing these awful sweaters that his cousin Clara knits for him. And there's Clara on the back knitting. And the story goes through, Lester doesn't like his sweaters. By the end of it, the sweaters do find love. So it's just a really fun read. If you're into knitting, you want to read your children awesome bedtime stories, Lester's Dreadful Sweaters by K.G. Campbell and Extra Yarn by Mark Barnett are really great books. So, there you go. Something else. So, a new to me podcast, I think I've talked about, it's not really new to me because I've talked about it. Hugh Loco, Nicole from the Hugh Loco podcast and the Hugh Loco yarn brand has been putting out tutorials, and she started her podcast recently, and she had this pattern up for sale, the Atwood shawl. And I'm sorry for the black and white. You know, my husband likes to save his printer ink and give me boring black and white. So this is a paid pattern, and I want to cast it on so bad using the Molly of a Homespun House Dale Fingerling yarn. Let me see if I can. This is a much more accurate color. It's like a pinky lavender purple, but it has these little flecks of orange and charcoal. You can kind of see some of the orange, though it's showing up red. And that looks really blue, so close. But I want to cast this on for Prudence because she's very cold-natured like me, and I've been wanting to make her a little shawl to carry around. That way when we go to restaurants or if we're in the car and she's cold, I can just quickly give that to her. And I thought this was just such a sweet, sweet yarn for a little 5-year-old, a little shawl. And she does have this. It's a paid pattern, but she's got 2 sizes. So she has a smaller and a larger size, I think. I want to say that because she has 2 yardage amounts listed on here. So I want to say that there's a smaller size and a larger size. I'm going to knit 2. I can already tell you because I want one. And I'm going to make this. I need needles. Still haven't gotten them. I thought about getting them when I was at the knit shop yesterday, but I have so much stuff that I need to work on. If I got needles for this, I know that I'd cast it on and want to knit it and ignore the things that need to be worked on. So that wasn't going to happen. I wasn't going to get needles for that. Something else that I did. So my Knit Night group we did the Fall Fest for Halloween, and then we did a Knitsgiving for Thanksgiving. So that was last night, and I went to that. We did a potluck, and I actually took some pumpkin snickerdoodle cookies, and I got that recipe from the Made with Carlene Energy podcast. Thanks, Carlene. They were a hit. They loved those cookies, and it gave me an ego boost because to hear people say, when they eat your food just makes you happy. And that was a really easy recipe to follow. I did change it just a little bit. I used some pumpkin pie spice just to give it more of the pumpkin flavor. And I also used bread flour for the cookies. I've found when I bake cookies with butter, they tend to spread and get really thin. And I thought using bread flour would make them more puffy and cake-like. And it did, but I think what I would do next time, the recipe called for 2 cups of flour, and what I might do next time is mix the bread flour with regular flour, because I did feel like they were kind of a little too bread-like, but they were delicious. Everyone loved them. I do plan to make them again for I'm having a PTO cookie exchange. The PTO is the Parent Teacher Organization, if you didn't know that, but we're doing a cookie exchange, and I want to win the golden cookie sheet. Basically, the way they explained it to me is it's the sheet, a cookie sheet, spray painted gold, and if you win the cookie exchange contest, you only get the sheet for 1 year until the following contest where you have to return it to the new winner. I need that cookie sheet, y'all. Like, I'm ridiculously competitive. People don't like, my friends, close friends and family joke. They don't like to play board games with me. I don't know if you've ever seen that meme where it's like the Monopoly progression, where it's like it gets more and more intense until someone's flipping the table. Yeah, I'm a little bit aggressive when it comes to competition. I need that cookie sheet. So I'm going to do pumpkin snickerdoodle cookies. My friend Mel, I don't know if Mel watches my podcast. She watches podcasts. Hi Mel, if you're watching. She said that my cookies, she loves snickerdoodle cookies, and she felt like it was taking it up a notch. So we'll see if I win. Knitsgiving. We went to Knitsgiving last night. I went. And they did the sweetest thing. So they gave each of us a little thank you note with a 40% off coupon in it. And I just thought that was really nice. It basically says, thanks for being a loyal customer and a friend to the shop. And yeah, so even though I'm in the middle of No Buy November, it was a 40% off coupon that was only good until November 30th. I had to use it, guys. I had to use it. There was no choice. And what I got, so I've had this yarn for a while. It's been in my stash. It's the Malabrigo Azul Profundo, Malabrigo Rios. So it's 100% superwash, 200 yards. That's probably pretty accurate on the colors. It's a very dark blue. Very pretty, very pretty. Kind of tonal. And I am going to make, I don't have a picture because I've printed this pattern a couple of times and I don't know why. I keep losing the sheet. It has two pictures when you look at it on Ravelry, and then when you print it, it only prints out the second sheet that you need, and it's a paid pattern, so I can't show you. It's Nicole Clark's pattern from the Hugh Loco podcast, and it is the Slouchy Snowflake hat. And I'm going to use this as the main color, and I got this yesterday as the snowflakes. And this hat is going to be for Artrella. And it's just a basic Colorwork hat with some snowflakes right along the brim. And this colorway is Madeline Tosh Antler, and I got the 80-10-10 blend. It's worsted weight, but it's merino wool, cashmere, and nylon, and colorway Antler. So it's just white, kind of like a creamy white, off-white. I also got to make, this is a free pattern, Marsha from the Twitch, and I always want to say Fairy Little because that's what she is on Instagram and Ravelry, but it is the Twitch and Stitch podcast. She was making this hat, which is the child size elephant hat. And it's a free pattern on Ravelry, so I'm not giving anything away. And she just did the big elephant. And that's all I was going to do because that looks quite involved. But then when I got the yarn for it yesterday, I was showing my friend Jasmine, who is the manager of the knit shop that I go to. I was showing my friend this pattern, and she is obsessed with it. And she wants to knit it too. And she says, I have to do all of that work, that I can't just do the big elephant, that I have to do the whole thing. So I'm going to. The yarn that I got for that, so that hat's for Prudence, obviously. It's an elephant. It's going to be for Prudence. You know, she loves elephants. And when I showed her this, she's very excited about it. So I got this yarn. And it's not going to show up super great. I decided that holding stuff back about this far on my black dresser gives it a pretty accurate. So it's a very greeny green. It's called Grasshopper, I think. Grasshopper green. It's Madeline Tosh. This is Tosh Vintage, and this is the cashmere nylon blend. Both of them are worsted. And I wanted to do a green background with the purpley elephants, but Prudence wants a purple background with green elephants. I'm not really sure what I'm going to do yet, but I am going to put in the white too for the other bits of the pattern. So yeah, what's so funny is yesterday I was wearing a purple shirt and green skirt, green sweater, and green leggings. And y'all know my colors are purple and green. And all the ladies at Knit Night know that my colors are purple and green because that's what I love. And they laughed at me when this is what I ended up getting. Because I can't not buy purple and green yarn, apparently. I just have to have it. I really do love those colors, and that's a pretty good, accurate description of them, or look. And I think that's it, guys. Oh no, it's not it, because I want to make the babble. So I'm obsessed with Colorwork currently. I'm going to knit all of us Colorwork hats for fall or winter. I'm going to knit myself the babble. After I get done with the girls' hats, I've decided I need to make the babble. And I want to do black sheep with one white sheep. I am the white sheep of our family. You always hear of the black sheep. I'm the good one. The one that doesn't have a lot of problems, like my siblings, like your siblings. But yeah, so we're excited about giving this to Prudence. I cannot wait for tomorrow. She's gonna open it and she's gonna say, "Oh my God, I love her so much." I think Atrella might be jealous. Y'all might have remembered her mermaid. I made her a mermaid. You can look it out on my project page on Ravelry. I never said what I am. You can find me at the very end of the podcast on most social media as Yarn Junkie. On Instagram, I am _Yarn Junkie. On Ravelry, I am Yarn Junkie with the number 6. I do have a Ravelry group, the Yarn Junkie Podcast. I would love it if I could have some more people say hello. Join in on my say hello, show me what you're working on. If you have any questions, I have an Ask Away thread. Yeah, my group is dead. It's like, don't even go there because it's so sad and dead. But yeah, I'm really happy about giving her this, and I will end there. So thanks so much for joining me this week, and I look forward to sitting down with you again. Happy knitting!